Welcome, my friends. It's so good to see you. And as you can see, I have joined my friend Mark in front of a GROB. GROB has some of those unique, exceptional capabilities that no one else can do. And Mark, my friend Mark, I've deep dived with him before. He knows so much. I'm excited to learn. Mark, when I think of GROB, I think about the bed going upside down. I think about the main spindle. The further it goes into the part, the more rigid it gets, and that to me is unique. But I know you, and people think I get excited on camera. When we talk GROB, you get excited, my friend. So let's hear about what inspires you to continually work with GROB day in and day out.
Sure. Yeah, well, first off, GROB, great company, German manufacturer, but it's important to mention that we also build and manufacture in Bluffton, Ohio. So we've got now close to 500,000 square feet, right around 900 employees. So all the machines, all the automation, spindle rebuilds, everything's happening in Ohio. So this machine here is our G550. It's about a 35-inch work cylinder, 630 millimeter pallet. We've got two machines smaller, our G150, G350, those are 22, 26-inch work cylinders. And then we have one larger than this, it's a G750. That's about a 51-inch work cylinder, but all the same kinematic. So you're getting all this?
I am, I'm absolutely getting all of this. This is amazing.
So good. So a couple unique things about the machine, as Tony mentioned, certainly is our kinematic. So unique concept. One, again, we can invert the table upside down, 180 degrees. So you get the free fall of chips, you're not remachining. Certainly great when you're doing automation, things like that, just being able to, even if you can't machine it upside down, being able to dump the table over at the end of the cycle, keep all the chips and coolant inside the machine versus bring it out to a load station. I don't know how many shops I've been to where there's a shop vac sitting next to the load station, sucking up chips. So just being able to keep it inside the machine is great. So that's great. Again, you mentioned the spindle being a horizontal, super unique. Tony, any brochure that you look at with a machine, they show you this cube, right? This big blue cube. This is what you can put on our table. But they don't necessarily say put a 6-8-inch projected tool in that spindle. Now that cube begins to shrink, right? So with this concept, we can always have max workpiece, max gauge length tool without any interference. So again, larger workpieces in a smaller size machine, or filling out that work cylinder. Maybe it's not a large piece, but you got a pyramid, op 10s, op 20s, things like that. So just being able to utilize a smaller machine, getting bigger parts, or filling out the work cylinder. So those are some of the big ones that we usually like to talk about.
Yeah, Mark, a couple of the notes I want to hit on again, because it's so important to understand, is that fact that the bigger, and part, everyone wants to maximize this workspace.
Yep.
So the parts are getting to that maximum space. And a lot of us in our head, we don't do the math going, well, I have this much space on my table, so we're ready to go. And we don't think about the overhang of the tool. So it's important to understand that you're able to back out far enough to give yourself the space, but complementary to that, what you do not hear ever, if not very often, but ever, is the deeper I go, the further I go, I'm getting more rigid in my cut.
Exactly.
That to me is fascinating. The third thing that I think about that you've brought up is just how fast this table can go. I mean, this thing flies around. If you're running some of the lighter cuts, high speed, detail work, you're not losing it. I mean, you see this machine, it's a good size, but I'm not losing it in my speed and flexibility, because you guys move so quickly to go along with that rigidity, to go along with that RPM. You really are a full package of balance to help people do exactly what they need to do.
Yep, no, you're exactly right. And with this spindle, again, being most rigid in the work area, right? I mean, simple example is, I give you your notepad over there. You don't write like this,
Exactly.
right? You write like this. That is how our spindle is configured. We're most rigid in the cut, where typical machines are this, you know, here's your spindle and it travels down and Z and it's doing this. So that's another huge advantage of this machine. You were talking about size, right? I mean, it's deceiving, this work area, what you can put in here, but if you look at the whole package of this machine, everything is integrated in the base. Your coolant tank, chip conveyor, so it's a self-contained unit. A lot of machines you look at, you may have high pressure pumps over here, paper filtration over here, so that's all, I mean, black hoses, old Dorito bags on the floor getting, you know, dirt, dust. So it's a nice self-contained unit. And when you look at all that, typically we're about the same floor space or less.
Ah, that's intriguing to me because you're right. We think of it as the box the machine's in, but when you start throwing in all of the, whether it's a parts catcher or a parts washer or a chip conveyor or whatever goes along with it, we are getting darn near, if not exactly the same size, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, can I nerd out with you a little bit?
Let's do it.
Because I just really love the concept of being able to go into a cut and my rigidity is stronger there.
Yeah.
Because I think about the days of machining where I had to, if I would regularly have, let's say, a short end mill, right?
Yeah.
And I'm making a cut, that's where I'm gonna do my roughing, that's where I'm gonna do my hard work. But if I have to reach into something, I know in my program, in my CAD system, I'm gonna reduce everything by about 75% because I can't make that cut. That's just not the case with you guys, and I love that.
It's the exact opposite. And you know, we're talking about earlier long tools, right? Not ideal, right? You want to use the shortest possible, get inside the workpiece so you can get aggressive, things like that. With this spindle fully extended into the work area, we're about 85 millimeters from the spindle face to the center rotation. So as soon as you put a standard holder in the spindle, we're at center line or just beyond it. Where a lot of machines you find this dead space. You're having to build your tools out, things like that, right? So long tools, we can do it, great, not ideal, but we can also use very, very short tools and get really aggressive in the cut.
I want to kind of transition this conversation because we're having fun with the capability of the machine. But what if somebody out there is watching right now and they go, Mark, Tony, that's overkill for me. I don't need all of that. But the truth of the matter is we don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. And these machines can do the majority, if not everything, of what someone wants to do. So I want to address the customers that are potential out there when they go, well, I have an option of A, B, C, and D, and I know the GROB machine, I know it'll work for me, but I just don't have the work for it right now. How do we speak to them?
Yeah, well, I think what we find a lot is people start with a certain level machine, not knocking any machine, right?
Of course.
It's entry-level 5-axis. But what we see is they quickly find the limitations of those machines, and then they're looking for next level, right? So I guess my point would be is, I mean, why start with something when there's no next level here? This is it, right? So if you think you're gonna grow into 5-axis, you can start with something like this versus making those steps, pulling a machine out, rigging in the new one, so on and so forth. And you know, you start with something that you're never gonna outgrow.
I just had a conversation, to your point, Mark, about the evolution of machine shops currently and what happens through the psychology of making a decision. And it seems that a lot of us, and I'm gonna face this way so they see the angle that I'm talking to you about. A lot of people, here's the decision-making mode. Then we go here to make that purchase. Then we end up all the way back here again to go almost right back where we started because of the failures and lessons we learned here that brought us right back to what we should have done in the beginning, and we lose months, if not years of time just to get right back to start again. It's like playing the game of chutes and ladders.
Yeah.
And you can either climb that ladder immediately and get where you're supposed to be, or you can go through failure, keep hitting those chutes and try and get to the end of the board. This is, to me, is that game changer, that level up, that eating the mushroom if I'm Super Mario Brothers to get bigger and do better.
Yeah, this is game over. Right
Game
here.
over. Mark, you, my friend, have been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. And just like you said on the live stream, in case you guys missed it out there, I think we could talk for a good 2 hours about this technology.
Grab your notepad.
Yeah,
there.
I'll get my notepad again. I'll get my seat because I'm ready to learn some more. And gosh, there's so much more to learn. Thank you all for joining Mark and I. Hope you had a good time with us today.
Thank you.